Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. Today we're going to cover Uncanny X-Men 379 and 380 and X-Men issue 99, because this is probably the first time we get a situation where before Scarlet Witch says no more mutants, another character called the High Evolutionary goes and tells the X-Men, you know what, mutants are a bad idea, and just turns off everyone's mutant powers across the world. And even though the writing to this is a little bit wonky, especially the motivations of High Evolutionary. I forgot to mention it's written by Alan Davis and art by Tom Raney. Killer art came out in the year 2000, right after the 12 crossover, which was a big letdown. The X-Men battling an apocalypse, which ended the life of Cyclops, sort of. Have this really weird situation where Xavier goes into space with a group of mutant Skrulls. That I really hated that idea. I think they were called the Case Skrulls or something like that. So the X-Men are dealing with the loss of a teammate, and as they normally do, they like to kick back and relax, play baseball. It's like a big part of these characters that they like to bond and do stuff together. They'll do these type of things in the Hickman run. Sadly, like in my country, for some reason, nothing from the X-Men has been reaching my country for like 2 years. Like nothing from Marvel. I don't know what's the problem with the local editorials. They're not they're not printing Marvel stuff. DC's totally on time, but not Marvel. And I know that Hickman is just killing it on the X-Men. It seems like they are working some really good ideas, and I'm really missing out. So as the head of state in Genosha, he's really focused on stopping the civil war in his country. He's starting to make things work. He's dealing with the loss of her husband. X-Man feels guilty over the situation. We have the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants scheming a plan to rob some crazy technology. Beast and Iceman are in Genosha. Beast is trying to study the legacy virus there. So High Evolutionary pops up, tells the mutants, you guys, you're pretty much a liability to the world. I'm going to turn you off your powers. Doesn't really explain in a satisfactory way why he's doing this. It's like an act of mercy. Like, High Evolutionary supposedly is really smart, and this character always does really, really, really stupid things, or he's really gullible sometimes. So he's always poorly written. Very few times I feel like High Evolutionary, they do a good job with this character. He takes so many bad decisions. The whole idea that he's obsessed with evolution, stuff like that, and genetics, and that everything's like this experiment, and his ethics are really questionable because he sees things as an object of study. But they always show this angle that he's like sort of a good guy, and he's sort of benevolent in nature, but he just does stupid things. So he turns off mutant powers, and that's really the interesting part of the story. Is not so much the High Evolutionary, is how all these characters are dealing, not having powers anymore. Magneto's in the middle of a civil war. He doesn't have his powers anymore. Now he doesn't know how he's going to deal with the rebels. Mystique was like spying on a corporation, something like that. Her powers go, and they catch her immediately. Members from the Brotherhood, Post loses his guns, his control over those weird pods that he has. Mimic loses powers. Poor Blob, he has all his skin hanging, and Toad becomes this like total hunk. He's really good looking. Here we have another artist in the X-Men series, Brett Booth. Really, really good art too. Like, I really love the work that he did with his story. The look to High Evolutionary too. So High Evolutionary is actually working with another scientist, and his name is Nathaniel Essex. So here's actually established that these guys have always worked together. Nathaniel Essex obviously is Mr. Sinister. It's actually implied in High Evolutionary's origins that prior to this, before it's established as Mr. Sinister, there was always a shadowy figure behind High Evolutionary. So Magneto's dealing with the Civil War, and I really like seeing Nightcrawler really missing his powers, even though he looks like a demon. Like, he really misses being an acrobat, and he feels really weird. He's lost his tail, so he's lost his center of gravity. Marrow looking like a normal human and having a normal human life, and that she's really liking the situation. So that's sort of like the good thing they do with this story, as I said before. We get the introduction of the Neo, which I really didn't like these characters. The leader of the Neo, that's called Domina, and she looks a lot like Domino, so that feels really lazy the way they gave her that name. And she's pissed off because when they turned off mutant powers, her daughter was swimming really deep and she dies. Drowned. She drowns. Wolverine dealing with animanium poisoning. This is actually a really good idea too. They should have fleshed this out more in the Wolverine series. But I think in the Cable series, like the techno-organic virus almost kills Cable when he loses his mental powers. So obviously, Sinister backstabs High Evolutionary. He has some evil plans with the technology that High Evolutionary used to turn off mutant powers. He's gonna do something sinister with that. And then in the final issue, we get obviously the final showdown between the X-Men and Mr. Sinister, which is okay. I really like the focus of mutants having no powers. They should have done that for a couple more issues and stuff like that. How the X-Men having to deal with normal human life and stuff like that. So this is the first time I think we got no more mutants, and it's okay. It's interesting. One aspect of the story, the other aspect feels really weak. Like after the defeat Sinister, you would think they would be really pissed off with High Evolutionaries. Like they have a little chat, and it's like you shouldn't do those type of things. Like I would be flipping pissed off with somebody messing with me like that. So I'm gonna leave this video here. Hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.